Well, Dylan and Blanchard seem to be leaving. Wahoo's still the champion. After being laid out by that pile driver, referee Tommy Young reported to referee Randy Anderson about the pile driver. They reversed the decision, and the belt does not change hands.
Back to Chief Wahoo McDaniel, still the national champion, and what a finish, fans. And you saw Dusty Rhodes in to clean out the ring and to really protect Wahoo. Watch again, this ending in slow motion, Johnny.
Here's where Blanchard gained the advantage as Wahoo had his hands full with James J. Dillon. The referee over there with Dillon does not see this maneuver. The referee does not see this pile driver, which is illegal. And there is Blanchard giving the pile driver to Wahoo. He did get a 3 count, but the decision was reversed. There you're going to see the 3 count. The decision was reversed. Wahoo McDaniels remains the champion.
Place to be Nation Wrestling. Welcome to episode number 58 of NWA Crock and Roll. Another short forum episode here, just like episode number 57. I am broadcasting from the empty TBS studios of Saturday night, which is what it sounds like in my echo chamber a little bit. So please forgive me for that. However, on our last episode, we talked about 8 matches that we kind of missed in between on our journey from our relaunch episode to the Starrcade 86 journey. So I'm going to talk about another 8 matches tonight. Again, going solo as well. And then when we come back for our next episode, we will hit up full on running with Starrcade 86 with Logan Schiff and I. So we ended on the Sunday edition of TBS in our last episode from September 7th, 1986. We are going to pick up and again, this is number 58. And again, we're calling these the matches we missed in the summer or fall of 86, part 2, on the journey to Starrcade 86. So we're going to pick up, we are going to, and by the way, all the matches that we talk about in the last episode and this episode, all 100% are on YouTube. So you can find them on YouTube very, very easily. That's why I'm giving you the dates. If you just want to run in the dates and look at them, I'm also talking about, here's what I'd probably check out. Also, here's probably what I would not check out, as we talked about in our last episode as well. So our first match tonight, September 13th, 1986. All through the summer, the best of 7 was a hot commodity for Crockett. Very, very historic feud between Nikita and Magnum. And in the end, Nikita won the U.S. title by shenanigans. So we saw in our last episode where Magnum was moving on to Jimmy Garvin. But before he goes on to Jimmy Garvin, he actually has a rematch with Nikita. And again, on syndicated TV, this is huge. And it's 2 out of 3 falls for the United States title. So him getting a crack at Nikita right before moving on to Garvin feels like a good way to put this thing to bed, which is awesome. The crowd is lit from the start, even on the intros. There's multiple tie-ups. TA spins Nikita around and punches him outside. Nikita comes back in with multiple knees and shoulder blocks to TA's stomach. TA throws Nikita to the corner and hits a belly-to-belly for 3 in about 5 minutes to win first fall. So really, really quick first fall win. Magnum gets some of that heat back from when he lost it in the best of 7. So really, really good there. Fall 2, TA works Nikita's leg. Nikita kicks him outside. Nikita throws him into the rails and takes control back in the ring with a rear chin lock. And then TA fights back, but Nikita with a Russian hammer. He nails his sickle with ease out of that hammer for 3 and wins fall number 2. So the TA in fall number 2 really, really took a shit kicking there. And Nikita really sickled him with ease to get that pinfall in fall 2. Fall number 3, TA with a nice leap over on Nikita, going over for a backdrop and hits Nikita with a clothesline. Nikita fights back, and then we get another damn chinlock spot that felt like an hour. Nikita, king of the chinlocks. If you ever listen to North-South Connection and our 7 Months of Danger pod, which, by the way, plug, go listen to that, please, because we just completed that run not long ago, 23 episodes. where we went back and we looked at the history of the Dangerous Alliance and cover from start to finish. So really, really, really fun pod there. So go listen to that. But Nikita on that one used to kill us on there with all his chin locks, and we're seeing a lot of that here. So anyway, we go, let's see where we stopped at. So Nikita not doing blockbusters at this point, but Nikita does a blockbuster on TA that like literally looked on a backdrop, and it looked like it was botched because Nikita did a blockbuster. And again, like I said, Nikita wasn't doing blockbusters in 1986. Then we get another Nikita chin lock spot. I love TA getting out of it with like a savage arm drag. Like he literally takes Nikita's arm and savagely gets out of it. I thought that was a really good counter to escape. TA fires up on Nikita. There's a suplex for 2. TA screaming along with the crowd, like TA is fired up and getting the crowd going. There's another botch that TA turns into a backslide for 2. That Young counts as 3, but the foot is in the ropes. Angry TA goes outside and he grabs the belt, and like an idiot goes in and smacks Ivan, and he hits Nikita with the belt and gets DQ'd. So Nikita wins 2 pinfalls each, but however, he gets a DQ, so he loses. Nikita retains. So Nikita retains, but TA walks out with the title on his shoulder, but Nikita's the winner. So I was a bit disappointed at this, as 50% of this literally felt like Nikita doing chin locks, not as hot as the matches we covered on our relaunch for the Bash, but really some great fire and fight from TA where you really see this guy is headed like he is the man, and it's really, really unfortunate what happens to him because this TA was just on fire at this time, and he was just the guy to go to. I hated it end as it didn't make TA look very smart, I thought, with him getting DQ'd. I went 2.5, and again, we weren't getting 2-3 falls Savage Santana matches for IC title in September 86 WWF, so who am I to complain about getting a 2-3 out falls main event with 2 of your top stars on a syndicated program for a major title? So 2.5 stars on this one. Definitely kind of look at it from a time standpoint. And kind of cements the end of the Nikita Magnum TA feud on television. They would have a few more on the house show circuit, but this kind of puts an end to the whole TA Magnum thing. TA Nikita thing, which has really been going on since January. So 9 months, this feud has really been on fire and been building to a crescendo. And again, not something you see nowadays, but really, really good stuff, that whole entire feud. Our second match piggybacks on our last match of our last episode where we saw Big Bubba Rogers do a top rope body splash on top of Dusty Rhodes and Ricky Morton when Dusty was trying to protect Morton from Bubba doing a splash, and Bubba ended up splashing both of them. So we get a kind of a cool kind of symmetry here. So this is also on syndication from Worldwide. It's Midnight Express and Big Bubba Rogers versus the Rock and Roll Express and Dusty Rhodes. And again, 9/20/86. Another big-time main event, and we just don't get these at WWF at the time. Like, you would get kind of a smattering here, but like you would get them on Saturday night's main event, but you just wouldn't get them on the weekly shows. So, again, another big-time match. So, great 6-man on paper with all the history between these 6. Bunkhouse rules. All 6 are in bunkhouse gear, and I love Bubba in his white T-shirt and suspenders. I love eating bumping for the faces to open. There's a sick atomic drop to Dennis by Robert, which literally looked like Robert put his knee way up Dennis's ass. So it looked really brutal. Crowd is nuclear for every move. Bobby does a bear hug to Dusty, and then Bobby throws powder in Morton's eyes, and the fight is really on. Dusty and Bubba fight outside. The Midnight Express have a chain in the ring and hits both Rock and Roll Express members with it. Bobby shoves an object into Ricky's eye, and then Dusty is fighting all 3 heels solo outside the ring. Bobby does an Alabama jam to Morton. Morton does a hot tag to Robert. Each Rock and Roll Express do single drop kicks to Bubba, but he won't go down. Then they do a double drop kick that takes him down. But he bounces right back up, and Dusty clotheslines him. All 6 are in the ring, and then Bubba goes up top, but Dusty throws him off, picks Bubba up, and does the coolest looking walking pile driver. Like, he kind of like bounces up and down on his knees, and he walks also, but then he pile drivers Bubba for 3. And it's rare to see Bubba take a pin, but this was really 10 minutes of really, really good war, and a really, really fantastic follow-up from the match we talked about on the last episode. I went 3 1/4 on this. So out of the 10 that we have covered matches at this point that we have covered on our last 2 episodes, this would be my favorite so far at 3 1/4. All right. So we talked about on our last episode how Flair was kind of winding down his whole territory run and doing the territories. But we do still have some smatterings of that, and this would be an example. So Flair is on a circuit in Puerto Rico. So on 9/20/86, Flair is in Puerto Rico, and he's defending his world title. against Miguel Perez Jr. Now, Puerto Rico has not really been a good hotbed for us. We have not really seen any great matches. I think infamously, we could talk about a Jimmy Valiant Abdullah the Butcher match we covered in our early run of NWA Crock and Roll that honestly, I don't know if Colin McDougal ever recovered. But anyway, so some of the matches haven't been great, but Flair has 2 world title matches here during this week. So 9/20, it's versus Miguel Perez Jr. Yes, it is future Los Boricua for the WWF, Miguel Perez Jr. Real short here, mostly mat work with hammer and leg locks. There's a sleeper by Flair at the 5-minute mark. Flair goes up top, plays the hits, gets thrown off. Then Flair is thrown upside down in the corner, again playing the hits. But Flair grabs legs, puts Miguel on his back, and the feet on the rope for a really weak 3. Like literally, Flair pulls the legs out, but it really looks like Miguel is just getting in position. It looks like a big lump of log there. Doesn't look like there's an intensity or anything in him trying to kick out. Really weak 3. This was 7 minutes. Really, really not good at all. And he really did nothing. And basically Flair playing the hits against an opponent that clearly looked like he couldn't go toe-to-toe with him. I went half a star on this. Totally ignore, because you're not missing a damn thing in this one. So the next night on 9/21/86, it is Flair versus Invader 1. This is for the world title. And yes, it's that Invader 1. I won't get into detail, but the whole Invader 1 Bruiser Brody thing, we all know what that's about. Yes, it's that Invader 1. They shake hands to start. Again, trading mat work and hammer locks. Invader does a shoulder block, hip toss, and body slam. There's dueling shots and punches. Flair punched over the top rope. There's a figure 4 to Flair back on the inside, then a suplex. Invader is just nailing some really good stiff forearms and punches, mounting rope punches as well. Invader dominates pretty much the whole match. Flair does again play the hits upside down over the apron, and then he's tossed off the top rope. There's a ref bump and an Invader with a sleeper. Invader is attacked by another wrestler running into the ring. I couldn't make out who it was, but I'm sure it's someone who Invader was feuding with in Puerto Rico. Flair grabs a foreign object, clocks Invader, the rest back up for the 3. This one, unlike the last one, this one was surprisingly really good. Invader dominated, but very little slow pacing, and he worked a quick 11-minute pace. I actually like this, and I was shocked. It's 2.5 stars. A little bit of Benoit syndrome here where, Invader 2 did not do good things. Invader 1 did not do good things. So if that's a problem, don't go back and watch it. But again, a really, really solid match, solid world title defense, running 11-minute, and Flair really didn't have to work the long game for this week in Puerto Rico and probably took it to the bank. So good for Ric Flair, but surprisingly good one here. All right, our 5th match of the night, also from 9/20/86, all 4 of the last matches. 9/20/86. This is also on syndicated television. Like, they are just cranking this shit out, man. And this is for the national heavyweight title. And Wahoo McDaniel, who on our relaunch we discussed had won the national title from Tully in Los Angeles, he is defending. It's a rematch for Tully here. So kind of like we talked about with Magnum TA and Nikita kind of writing off. Tully is clearly on this path to Dusty to Starrcade. So kind of the write-off match here. So again, rematch, and Nikita, and by the way, Wahoo also getting a title defense in before losing the unification match that we covered. Also on our relaunch where Nikita, basically they fused together the national heavyweight title and the U.S. title. So Wahoo at least getting a little bit of a kiss here on a title defense. So first 4 minutes opens up. Best of Wahoo just chopping Tully like left and right. And literally, like when I talk about chopping, we're talking about mincemeat and just freaking turning him into mincemeat, man. And Tully was just selling them like death, and the chops just looked savage. Tully finally gets Wahoo outside and throws Wahoo into the ring post. Tully gets multiple elbows, gets an impressive body slam. Wahoo fires up. Runs around ring, holding Tully's head and just lays it on him. Wahoo goes to JJ on the apron, and Tully gets a knee from behind, hits a really nice pile driver, and Wahoo is pinned, and the ref counts 3, but another ref comes out. Apparently the pile driver is illegal at this point in Crockett. It didn't make a lot of sense. I've seen 100 pile drivers. We just talked about one in our last match a couple of matches ago with Dusty and Bubba. So the match was reversed. JJ and Tully beat up Wahoo. Dusty comes in and cleans house. The ending was really confusing, but they kept Wahoo to his strengths and chopping bitches and very, very slow spots. Tully is an awesome seller and the heel work and took a beating to hell, man. So I'm going to probably take a heat on this. I went 3 stars. I thought it was one of the better Wahoo matches that we've watched for this pod. Wahoo has not been popular on this show. We shit on him a lot, but Man, I really enjoyed this match, and I thought it was really, really good. Take the schmaz ending out, it probably would have been higher, but I think the thing with Wahoo that we discovered is if you keep Wahoo to his hits, just have him chop the shit out of bitches, do a few moves here and there, keep him out of the rest holds, and you give him a really good heel to work with, like a Tully, it's going to be decent. He's clearly past his expiration time, but yeah, really, really good, solid match. I would recommend going watching this from, like I said, national title defense on free TV, Wahoo chopping bitches. I'm all in for that every day of the week, and Tully is a fantastic heel. So good match here. All right. So we are going to October 11th, 1986. So when Logan and I did our episode 2 episodes ago on the road to Starrcade 86, if you remember when Nikita did his heel turn, one of the things he had said is, well, the accident with the TA happened in Japan, and I got a call while I was in Japan touring. Well, basically, the accident happened when Nikita was touring in Japan. And he said when I came back, he became friends with, Dusty and I talk, and now here I am, and that's my really bad Nikita. So anyway, we're going to talk about those matches from Japan are actually on YouTube. And I don't have a lot of hope going into them. And I think after I talk to him, you'll see why. But yeah, so basically, Nikita was on a tour of Japan with Khrushchev, and they were doing tag matches. Both these matches I would talk about aired on October 11th, 1986, Japan TV. So Nikita and Khrushchev both come out with their U.S. belt and the U.S. tag belt. Don't know where Ivan was, but here's the cool thing. I love the U.S. representation of Russians in Japan. So they're taking on Hamaguchi and Shoshu. And I know Shoshu we have talked about before. I believe we've had a couple matches with him on Flair. I probably thought they were good. I can't remember. But Logan Crossland, probably good. He's not on this episode. No to Japan hater. Is not going to like these matches. So there's an arm lock, lockups, and slams between the two teams. Hamaguchi looks like the peg in a square hole almost against the other three. There's a lot of kicking and punches by the Russians. Nikita throws Hamaguchi outside, stands there and watches him get back in. Shoshu and Nikita do a test of strength. Shoshu actually wins and flips Nikita over. Hamaguchi tags in, has a quick flurry on Crusher Khrushchev. However, Crusher Khrushchev press slams him. The Japanese team has a brief offense run, but Crusher Khrushchev gets a power slam on Hamaguchi for 3. There wasn't much to this. The power slam ending was kind of weak. And the bland ending, I went 1.25 star on this. So not missing anything major in here in this match. The next match was also the Russians versus Tenryu and Fuyaki. And again, we've talked about Tenryu on this pod 100 times. Fuyaki playing the Hamaguchi role in this match. So the heels beat up Tenryu for a few minutes, but he comes back with some stiff forearms to Crusher Khrushchev's chest. Fuyaki teams in and gets his ass handed to him. He does manage to get a spin kick and leg drop to Crusher Khrushchev. He, however, has his run cut off by Nikita, allowing Crusher Khrushchev to sickle Fuyaki for the win. This was also nothing to write home about. A lot of money to bring the Russians in for the last 2 matches. These were not good, guys. You do not need to go watch these, but I thought it would be kind of cool to see what Nikita was doing when he had the accident, when Magnum had his accident, and where he was at the time. So he was really in Japan, and not good. Not good at all. Not like some of the Road Warriors matches we've talked about, or some of the Flair matches we've talked about when they're touring Japan. So this was not good. All right, so our final match of the night. And this will take us home to our next episode, which will be Starrcade 86. But this one took me by surprise because I had just recently discovered the NWA Sunday edition. And I talked about it on our last episode. Again, I know I'm doing a lot of references, but just to let you know if you didn't hear it, doing some references there. We had talked about the Sunday edition debut, and their debut second episode had Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. Well, this one tonight, it is a U.S. Tag Team title defense, and it is Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev against a team that I knew in Team Continental. They will team in the UWF in the future as well, because they will be the UWF Tag Team Champions in 1987. And it is a Lightning Express of Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong teaming up to go after the U.S. Tag Team titles. And so, again, the Sunday edition bringing us the goods here. Because like I said, our last episode, we had the Rock and Rolls versus Midnight Express for the World Tag, and now we have this one for the U.S. Tag. And as I said, Armstrong and Horner we'll talk more about in the future, as they would go on to be the Lightning Express. Again, they wrestled on Continental and will be the second to last UWF Tag Team Champions before UWF goes out of business, which I'm sure we will talk about as we get to that in 87 as it occurs, because it happens after Crockett buys Watts out, obviously. So the Russians are wearing their U.S. tag team belts, and this is easily the U.S. tag team titles are a favorite of mine. They're top 5 belts ever to me. Because I just think it's different and unique, and I think Crockett always brings the good to his belts. I actually have a U.S. Tag Team title belt here in my office that I'm staring at as I record this. But he makes today's belts look like a joke for me, just different. And, WWF, especially today, where all they have is just their logo on the front of all their belts. I think the new Seth Rollins belt's pretty cool, but it's all about the logo on the front, and the other belts I just think suck. So anyway, this is also right after Nikita Koloff's turn, so it's mentioned on commentary how upset the Russians are with Nikita. What's happened? So Crusher Khrushchev throat throws Brad across the ring, but Brad dodges a bunch of punches, and all 4 and the heels get multiple drop kicks from both faces to the crowd's delight. All 4 in a ring again, and the Russians again eat shit on drop kicks. Horner hits a top rope hits a Frankenstein on Crusher Khrushchev as he's lifting. Ivan is lifting him in the air, which was really, really good. Again, later on, all 4 in the ring with faces kicking the Russians' ass again. We get back from commercial. The Russians have control and working over Brad. Brad hits a nice clothesline to Ivan off the ropes. Horner tag and works both heels over. All 4 go at it again. Crusher Khrushchev hits a sick-looking backdrop to Horner, throws him way, way up in the air. Looks really visually good. There's a long rear chin on Horner. Ivan is in and goes up top. Horner punches him, and Ivan crotches himself. Crusher Khrushchev for the apron does a really cool spot where he walks clear along the apron to grab Horner and pulls him back to the corner to keep him from tagging Brad Armstrong while Ivan recovers from the crotch, which is really good psychology there. Horner keeps trying to tag, but cut off at every turn until Horner and Ivan collide mid-ring. Horner gets the tag. Armstrong takes on both heels. There's drop kicks to Ivan, and there's a 2 count, but the foot's on the ropes, and the bell rings. And we get a time limit draw, guys. This went a full 20-minute time limit draw again on syndicated TV. This was great. I really wish we saw more at the time. And I also wonder if TA's accident kind of caused some issues with this, because I wonder if maybe TA's accident caused it not to happen again, as Armstrong goes on to feud with Jimmy Garvin because of what happens. He'll face Garvin at Starrcade, and then Horner goes on to team with Nelson Royal at Starrcade, and then the Jayhawks end up getting the title shot at the Russians. I wonder if there was anything written in stone or anything where they would have had this match at Starrcade if the Magnum TA accident hadn't happened. I'm not sure, because I think TA still would have gone to face the world title, and Armstrong, they still needed somebody for Garvin. But yeah, really, really good match here. This is 3 1/4 easily. Really, really nice hidden gem. If you go out of your way to watch this one, Lightning Express versus the Russians for the U.S. Tag Team titles from the, what's the date again? October 26, 1986 WCW Sunday edition. You can find this on YouTube, just like every other match we talked about. So 2 3 1/4 star matches here tonight that I discussed. So really go out of your way. So let's review real quick. If I go into the beginning tonight, so we talked about the 2 out of 3 falls U.S. title match, Nikita versus Magnum TA, kind of the kiss off to their feud. 2 out of 3, 2.5 stars. Not their best, not their worst, but a cool moment in time type of deal. The bunkhouse stampede match between the Midnight Express and Bubba versus Rock and Roll Express and Dusty, 3 1/4. Absolutely go out of your way. You can skip the Miguel Perez versus Ric Flair world title match from Puerto Rico. But I kind of like the Flair versus Invader 1-1. But if you miss it, totally understandable. But I also thought that was pretty good. Wahoo versus Tully for the national title on 9/20/86. 3 stars. Really, really liked it. You can skip the entire Russian run of Japan on 10/11/86. And then go out of your way to watch this one right here from 10/86/86. The Lightning Express versus the Russians for the U.S. tag title. I would 100% go out of my way to watch this one. It was a really, really fun find that I found last minute and added it to the back end. So that's it. The last 2 episodes, I have taken you through 16 matches that we have not discussed on our build to Starrcade 86 that literally happened right after the Great American Bash. So a lot of stuff happened after the Bash. Crockett, again, so many matches, putting out so much product. The champions are touring. Flair's all over the place. They got their talent going to Japan, talent going to Puerto Rico. TA got in his accident. They did quick on the fly booking to get Nikita going. It's amazing to me how they kept up. It's just unbelievable stuff, putting out unbelievable product, and is giving us some really, really great stuff. So I'm really excited to talk about Starrcade 86 next episode with Logan and Schiff. And again, Starrcade 86 I've watched one time, And I remember growing up when it was happening, the commercials for it, the build for it, which we talked about 2 episodes ago, were just off the chain great. And I was so excited to watch it. And I've watched it one time since, so I'd like to go back. I have certain feels on it. I would be curious to go back and watch it to see if some of my thoughts have changed, my opinions have changed. 12 match cards, so there is a lot to watch. So I'm sure we'll go a little in depth on that on our next episode. So we'll definitely run longer than the last 2 Pod Blast 30 minutes or under ones that I've done in the last 2 episodes. So before we go, a couple things to plug. I'm going to plug the one main thing. Well, I'll plug Logan and Shift's our stuff here on PTBN. Highway to the Impact Zone, where Logan leads a group of us. When I'm on, I can be on through the Impact journey. We are in 2006 right now, so please give that a listen. Highway to the Impact Zone, always a fun off-the-rails show. YouTube Roulette. I also get on when I can as well, where we pick random matches from YouTube, where we watch 4 matches from YouTube, comment on them. It's kind of like a friends at the bar, sitting around watching wrestling kind of deal. That's really, really, really fun show. I really enjoy listening to that one and doing that one when I can. The other one, the other one we'll talk about that just ended not long ago was the 7 Months of Danger podcast. Really, for me, probably one of the funnest ones I've ever done, and we actually get to complete it. I enjoy doing it with Jake, Logan, Matt, and Schiff. And we went through the entire history of the Dangerous Alliance, starting with Halloween Havoc, 1991, and took it through July, where the official July of 92, where it really, really ended. But not as great as we thought it was going to be, but the journey was fun. We had a lot of fun, a lot of bullshit. I think we went into it thinking it was going to be kind of a serious kind of thing for us, kind of like we do on NWA Crock and Roll, where we kind of take it very seriously and really analyze it. Now, we did analyze it. It was really hard to take some of it seriously. There was some good stuff. I think in the end, we watched 120 matches and only 17 really met that 3-star ratio. But the stuff that happened, our bullshit and what we talk about, it is one of the funnest things you'll ever listen to. 23 episodes, most episodes 90 minutes or less, but some are even a little over an hour. That is over on the North-South Connection feed. Please go listen to that. The entire run is in the archives over there, and it's really fun to complete a pod journey, and I look forward to completing this pod journey here. We're on episode number 58, and after we get through Starrcade, we'll be getting into the end of 96 as we get into the winter. So 1987 is around the corner, and this pod journey is going to take us through December of 88. So really, really looking forward to getting this one completed, because if anything, the 7 Months of Danger really, it got me into those time frame things. And honestly, doing that pod got me back into getting to Crockett and figuring out a way to do it. Even if we can't be on a set pod schedule, but figuring out how we do it and we complete it, because 7 Months of Danger really reinvigorated me to get back into this. And last thing I'll plug, and it hasn't been recorded as of this episode yet, one more pod that, again, will not necessarily be on a time frame. It's more of when I can record it, with who I'm going to record it with. Kind of a spinoff of Danger Pod, and I'm not going to go too much into it right now. It will be on the North-South Connection feed, hopefully debuting sometime at the end of August or mid-August. Coming out of the Danger Pod, one thing I really liked, and I just talked about it, was where we do time frames and feuds and time frames. Like the Dangerous Alliance it was a 7-month journey. It'll take a year, but there are so many other feuds and so many other things out there that are shorter time frames that have never been covered on any of the feeds, Place to Be or North-South. And I'm a big territory guy, and I'm really into those short feuds. And I came up with a premise that I ran by the powers that be at NOSO, and I'm really, really happy to say they are embracing it. But it's coming soon, and when it's 100% cemented and it's 100% recorded, I'm still mapping it out. But it really will be built around territory feuds and those time frames. And an episode could cover one feud. You might have one feud that covers over 2 to 4 episodes, but really allows us to peel back the onion and go back in time and look at feud time frames and individual feuds versus covering a year, or like Crock and Roll, where we're going to probably be 3 or 4 years to cover the whole Crockett run. Just individual matches from individual territories. And that could take you to AWA, that could take you to World Class, that could take you to USWA, that could take you to Global. the sky's the limit, Mid-South. The sky's the limit in what we can do. So I'm looking really, really forward to getting my hands wrapped around that. Scott Shiflett has already agreed to be my partner in crime here on NWA Crock and Roll. But more to come on the title, more to come on the premise, more to come how that'll be covered. We hope I will probably record a few solo ones in that as well to get product out, because honestly, with my job and what I do for a living, some of the solo work will be easier to do, and then you don't have to bring anyone to it, and you could cover one pod and cover one feud, and then I could bring in my co-hosts in to cover the bigger pods and the bigger feuds of that nature. So we hopefully Schiff and I will have some guests on there, but I do appreciate Schiff joining me for that journey. So guys, that's it as far as the wrestling stuff tonight. Thank you for listening. I know the end game of talking about what's coming up and what we're doing was a little long, but I definitely wanted to give a plug out to the things that are out there and the things that are on both pod feeds that are there and coming up as well. So with that, I am Shawn Kidd. I will see you guys when we get to Starrcade 86. Don't have the time frame when I'll drop, but I'll be back with Logan and Schiff, and we will talk all things Starrcade 86 on episode number 59 of the NWA Crock and Roll. Thanks, everybody.
Hold on, I'll be back for you, it won't be long. But for now, there's something else that's calling me. So take me down a lonesome road, point me east and let me go. That suitcase weighs me down with memories. I just wanna be the one you run to. I just wanna be the one you come to. I just wanna be there for someone when the night comes. Let's put all the cares behind us and go where they'll never find us. I just wanna be there beside you when the night comes, when the night comes. Two spirits in my mind, you can leave before the morning light. When there's nothing left to lose, there's nothing left to fear. So meet me on the edge of time, won't keep me waiting, I'll be right. Then you and I, we'll just run right out of here. I just wanna be the one you run to. I just wanna be the one you come to. I just wanna be there for someone when the night comes. Let's put all the cares behind us and go where they'll never find us. I just wanna be there beside you when the night comes, when the night comes. I know there'll be a time when you and I could take our hands and run away. Pick up all the pieces from the shattered dream. We're gonna make it out someday. We'll be coming back to stay. I wanna be the one you run to. When the night comes, to be the one you come to. I wanna be the one you run to. I just wanna be there for someone when the night comes. Let's put all the cares behind us and go where they'll never find